If you've ever hired anybody here in St. Louis to do construction on your home or a building, you know that there are some crew members who show up who you might question, and somebody blew the lid off of that. Tony Monaghan here, who's born in Ireland and grew up in Ireland, is now here in St. Louis, Missouri.
Is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes, Monaghan, actually.
Monaghan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No harm.
So many say Moynihan, don't they?
They
for
say
whatever
Monaghan
reason.
a lot, yeah.
That would be you.
This man who still works construction crews decided to do a documentary, a film called Rednecks+Culchies, that just blew me away.
And so we have to see, I mean, we know what rednecks are, but what are Culchies?
Well, what are Culchies? That's a good question. It's a combination of a lot of things. It's like, it's a guy who grew up in the country in Ireland. I grew up with horses and cattle and that kind of stuff. And, you know, if something breaks down on the farm, machinery or whatever, you can turn your hand pretty much to anything from, like, driving a nail to an airplane because you had to be self-sufficient and just get the job done.
So you are a Culchie, a redneck from Ireland.
Pretty much you could call me a redneck from Ireland.
Just in time for St. Patrick's Day.
Some people even in Ireland class me as a Neanderthal or a savage. I really don't care.
Sometimes we use the term Hoosiers here. In the rest of the world, that means you're from Indiana, but in St. Louis, it means you're a hick.
Yeah.
Hick's
another one.
Yeah. The names don't really bother me that much.
And you've reclaimed that as a good thing.
I mean, we get it always said to us for the Irish, we're tough skinned. We don't really take any heed of that, like the fighting Irish, the paddy wagon. Like you say that in most cultures, they break down, but we just laugh about it.
I just love your accent.
Yeah, it's fun to listen
to. But he
you.
has Irish construction here in St. Louis.
That's right. And the reason I say that your documentary blew me away is because you basically uncovered something that most of us, if not all of us, suspect, and that is there are many in that industry that are just on drugs. Or
just out of prison.
Well, there's a lot
out of prison. Yeah.
Well, a lot of that is true. A lot of it is true, and a lot of it is true in the real world too. There's a lot of people in this country all high on some chemicals. It's not alone construction workers. It's like sometimes the higher you go, the better the drug. The lower you go, the worse the drug. You go from meth to cocaine. So it's all around. It's not in one aspect, but it's pretty much. A lot of the guys I've dealt with in construction, they're not high all the time, or they're not drunk all the time, or.
But you find yourself babysitting to some degree, right? I
find myself doing things that I really shouldn't have to do to a grown man or anybody, or, you know, it's like looking after children sometimes. Mm-hmm. And now do I fault that? No, that's the only game I know. Was NASA going to call me when I get off the plane from Ireland? No, it's the only game I know. The only game I knew what to do.
But in defense of the construction industry, at least in the unions, they're drug tested.
I don't know much about the unions. I presume they are. And I don't really know. But then that's a big organization.
Yeah, but most of us, we're hiring a small crew to do work on our house, to put a sidewalk out front, something like that.
Do your kitchen, bathroom remodels.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, but no one is going to pay. That's the way the economy is at the moment. No one is going to pay union wages. They're looking for the cheapest, and then they're looking for the cheaper again. And then you find guys that you have to work with because they're not working. Maybe they might work for you for a week or 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months if they're good enough, and they're looking for the homeowner's looking for a good deal, and he ain't going to pay union wages because there's no work out there. So it's like everybody's eating themselves.
It's a vicious circle.
Well, let's talk about his movie because it's amazing that you made this documentary, which covers all this stuff.
Yeah,
and then it got picked up with some big deal production company. It
got picked up by a big distributor out in I think it's LA, Brink Vision. They're pretty big. They're the fourth biggest in the world, so they're pretty big. And yesterday there's an article on me on the Huffington Post. So when I've hit these two extreme cases for a guy who never went to school, never made a movie before, never knew nothing about the movies. And when I tried to make this documentary, that was another. Well, I was laughed all around the town from here, and I laughed about in Ireland, which I didn't bother me because I got tough skin. So I had an idea, and I just went ahead and done it.
So, but it's surprising is how well you did, how well you told the story, and how you used. To be clear here, Irish Construction is here in St. Louis. Your company is in St. Louis. You're in St. Louis. So this is about St. Louis construction workers.
Mostly about St. Louis construction workers, and it's about me coming here too. It's not just about the guys. I didn't actually go out and make these guys look good or bad in the documentary.
No, you documented it.
I've dealt with this, and I put up ads on all over town, and like the there are good reviews on the computer. I opt for like not a Craigslist or whatever. I put on an ad for professional guys with tools, truck, contact this, good pay. And this is how I get a lot of my guys who come through the door. Now I get a few connections here and there from guys who say they have a friend or whatever. And they've been like, you know, sometimes you'd be lucky and sometimes you just say, is this for real? Is this guy really? I've had guys come into me completely out of their mind on high-end meth or heroin, and no hammers, no tools with them, no nothing. They just land up in my door, and I mean, these guys are just so out of it. You don't know what they're going to do.
Are you ever able to take a guy like that? I mean, you're almost like, you know,
a counselor.
Yeah,
of some
so
sort.
like
you
a
become
savior.
their priest.
Well, you have to do a little bit of that, and you have to look at them all. They're human, and they're in the situation because they're not because they want to. It's the society and culture that's put them in here. It's society that they haven't got the. When they probably started off as a kid or whatever, wherever they went to school,
from
where they went to school or
to
college,
generation.
there was no help there for them, and their parents maybe were doing the same thing. So it's a second or third generation situation.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
why did you come to St. Louis anyway?
I came to St. Louis because on one of my adventures, my ex-wife is from here, and my 3 daughters are here.
Oh, it's always that. The ex-wife is from here.
Yeah, and they're always
well,
from
that's
St.
not. That's not. Well, no, actually, I lived in New York and I lived all over the world with her. So that was. We came back here because we thought it was a good, safe place to bring up our 3 daughters. Tony,
Yes,
I got
that's
3
the other
daughters.
thing. It's a great place to raise your kids.
And
Tony,
one of
Ursula,
your
and
daughters
Kira
is actually in the documentary, and you can tell when she's on camera. You can see the love she has for you and the admiration she has for you in that movie. And this is the cool thing about this movie, that it's hard to watch it and not cry. Here you have someone from another country going, hey, St. Louis, America, look what's going on right here. And this is terrible. This is, and you pointed a camera at it, and you documented it very well. There are 2 that you focus on a lot. The guy named Sandwich, Paul, and Johnny D.
Yeah.
And where are they both today?
Well, Johnny D is, as they say in Ireland, he's in the ground, and Paulie is still, and actually Paulie is not so bad. Paulie, I call him Paulie, but Paul Cantarell is his name. I call him, he's actually coming around a little bit. He's not so bad. Every time I see him, he's more or less growing out. He's actually a little bit of a success story because he doesn't seem to be, he says to me, he pulls away from all this stuff now. I talk to him frequently, and he works with me still on and off. And I didn't actually come here to say, well, people often say to me, well, if you don't like it here, go back home. I've never said I'd never liked America. I love America. I stayed here because I want to be with my daughters, because I realized at the end of the day, their daughters need someone to be there for them and watch out for them, and that's why I did stay there. Because I could have a choice to go home. I could have ran home, because I have a little bit of property in Ireland, and I have a horse farm over there, actually. But I chose to stay here with my daughters because when I was getting divorced, I had options like everybody else, but I stayed and don't regret it. I stayed with my daughters.
We're glad you did, and you've done a good thing by making this. And if you want to see it,
how do you see it?
You can see it at the Tivoli Theater coming up March 24th at 7 p.m. And Tony, being Tony, he's doing this for a good cause. He's doing this to raise money to build houses for homeless women.
Well, actually, the last time I was on the radio, I said homeless women. It's about women who's in bad situations.
Okay.
It's called the Shearer Movement. And a lady running it is a great lady. I found when I decided to give something back, which I always give something back to people. I give something back all the time because I think that's a person's legacy. It's like a living legacy with me. You know, it's not about what you can get away with. It's what you can know that you're given and nobody knows about it. That's how I think.
Well, Tony, in 2 days on St. Pat's Day, March 17th, I'm drinking one to you, my man.
That'd be great, yeah. So hopefully the documentary will be shown it'll be shown in the Tivoli
March
24th at 7 p.m. So if anybody at all can come and help out or donate a little bit of money, it's for a great reason to help these women get self-esteem and their kids and get them a better way to live. And if we can only save one person, that means a lot.
And if you cannot see the movie on that night, if you can't make it, is there a place you can get the movie?
Well, the movie is coming out worldwide distribution on the 19th of April.
Okay.
You can order it now on Amazon and some of the other places. So if you do that, and I'm giving actually 20% of my own profits to this cause,
That's great. And you can go to their Facebook page.
Rednecks+Culchies. And
there you go.
I love that.
And keep up with it.
That's a great name that we should make T-shirts and have bumper stickers and everything. Well, we want to thank Abusi Michelli Insurance for making our segment possible today. They're continuously working to provide an individual coverage that you require. They also handle commercial life and health insurance. Contact Tina Michelli at 314-832-6667.